distant worlds to the final frontier. Our imaginations bold and clear. With pen and heart, we craft our tales in this universe. Our spirit prevails. Collaborate, create and share. In the fleet we find friends who care. Task force is strong, united we rise. Under the endless starry skies. Join the fleet where dreams take flight. In the darkness of space we find our light. A community strong, in unity we stand. Obsidian fleet hand in hand. So come aboard, let your journey start. With Obsidian fleet you'll find your part in the tapestry of stars. Our stories weaving obsidian's embrace, we believe.
And we're here! We are live! We're here! We're finally here, it's fine!
We've made it through the week!
We've made it through the month, because we're monthly, we're not even weekly. But
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
you are here with your monthly edition of Women of Trek, and I'm your host, Becca, and I am joined by the ever lovely Phoebe, and
Oh,
there is Goal Eddie in the background, because
God,
he now
oh,
has a name. Goal Eddie.
before we went live, we were decided, like, I decided that, and Becca has co-signed this,
Yes.
that Eddie would be a Cardassian. He has that kind of, like, entitled energy.
So much. So he is now technically our third co-host for Women of
Yeah.
Trek. And how have you been this month? Because it's interesting because we're doing this monthly, so we kind of have we catch up, but we don't have a proper session where it's just us two. We're not surrounded by the boys.
I know, it's quite nice, isn't it?
Yes.
It feels like a little... Oh.
It's a little bit more
little
cozy.
It is. And I do like that occasionally we'll just like dip it, like it feels like the prep, because it's monthly, the prep is like very relaxed.
Yes.
So like just been like, we've kind of been diving into the world of the trill, really.
Yes.
And kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, it's been nice, but we've also kind of changed things up ever so slightly, because we've now got categories that we're going to talk about, and like technically I don't want to say marker against, but I feel like maybe we do need to give her a score for each category.
I'm up for scoring her. I'll right up front, I'm going to say she's going to score highly in like nearly everything, because I love her.
Yes, so this is why we kind of started with this character, because she is, well, she's our favourite really, because we both, when we were in our first episode where we were just saying, you know, the characters that we loved, we were literally like, both of us were kind of just glancing at each other every now and then. We're like, okay, so who's going to say it first? Who's going to say Dax first? Who's going to say Jadzia? And then we both kind of got to the end.
The first one we've said when we were like brainstorming, we were like, so obviously we're going to talk about Jadzia Dax.
Yeah. But I think I'm going to go through the categories first that we've got, and then we can talk about what the fleet and what the community, because it's not just our fleet, because I've also asked in Pegasus fleet.
Ooh,
And I got a few more before it descended into a little bit of chaos around a different character. We kind of had a little bit of a discussion. So I'm going to go through the categories first. So we've got leadership and command abilities. How well this character leads, inspires, and makes tough decisions, e.g. Picard versus Kirk versus Janeway. We've got scientific and technical prowess. Who has the best problem-solving skills in science, engineering, or medicine? Spock, Data, Jadzia Dax, Geordi LaForge. I think she's going to score highly in that one.
Yeah.
We've got combat skills and tactical brilliance. Who's best in a fight, whether it's hand-to-hand combat or starship tactics? We've got Wolf, e.g., you know, Wolf, Cisco, 7 of 9. We've got character growth and arc. Who has the most compelling personal journey or development over time? You've got Kira Nerys, 7 of 9, and Tom Paris. And I also want to add in there Mariner, because I think she grows so much as a character in Lower Decks. And then we've got some slightly, you know, more funny ones. We've got iconic approachability and charisma. Who has the most memorable line, presence, and sheer entertainment value? You've got, the Q, Bones, Garrick, Quark. And then we've got most likely to start a bar fight. Who has the shortest temper or the worst luck in social situations? E.g., Wolf, O'Brien, McCoy when he's had enough. And then we've got my favourite one, which I'm really quite interested to see how Dax fares on this one between us. We've got most likely to cause an accidental paradox, temporal paradox. Who can't help but mess with time? E.g., Janeway, Kirk, and Daniels from Enterprise.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a good one. I have to.
Yes, I'm excited to see this, but shall we go through what the fleets or the communities? I keep calling them fleets, but I think communities is better. What the community at whole thought about, and you're gonna look at OF, and then I will grab Pegasus Fleet. Yeah.
Yeah. For sure, I think that's a good way to do it.
Yes.
So, first of all, Jadzia Dax seems to me to be universally really liked.
Yes.
Of course, you've got comments about how beautiful she is, because Terry is a very, very beautiful woman.
Yes.
And also, I think there's something about how she plays Jadzia Dax that is incredibly attractive. She's very confident.
Yeah.
She's able to kind of do that social chameleon thing where she can 1 minute she's going on a side quest with Klingons, and then the next minute she's in the heart of the operations and being an upstanding Starfleet officer. So as a character she is formidable. And then we also started talking about what are some of people's favorite episodes with her as well. So obviously the Klingon episode comes up, and I think I was one of the first people to be the Klingon episode is great, because it is so fun, and you get to see more about so you not only do you get a bit of Klingon lore, which is always welcome in an episode in my book, you also get a bit of Trill lore as well, and you get to see kind of Curzon Dax make a bit of an appearance, and she's so good at that switching between and kind of giving hints of another personality. I think it's a really masterful performance in those. And then another episode, which I know that you're a huge fan of, that came up was the episode where everyone becomes her past.
It's my favourite Dax episode.
So lovely. It becomes her the past Dax hosts basically. And again you get to see the real acting chops of not just Terry but the whole DS9 crew.
Yeah. And that's why I like it, because it's an episode where no one is left out.
Yeah, it's a proper ensemble episode.
Yeah.
And I think that feels really appropriate for a character who is as you said, a bit of a social comedian, is able to unite quite disparate groups and connect with them with the wisdom of is it 7 past?
Oh, I think we're gonna get into that when I go through. I've got a little histories done for her. I've got a little history, and I've got all her hosts and stuff.
I love that so much. And then we also had a bit of a talk about some of the stuff that happened behind the scenes, but maybe that's something that we pick up a bit later.
Yeah, because I think I want to kind of talk more about the character, and I think we can leave that for the end, because I think it does deserve mentioning, because it's basically how this character ends overall. But I've got other comments. So I've got Amethyst in Pegasus Fleet says, I love her confidence, but I wonder how much of that is the Trill symbiont related and how much is just her personality. And then you've got other ones. I think I'm just trying to find it. Oh yeah, no, that's pretty much it. Before it was Tim Russ it got involved, got into. That was the character that it kind of descended into. It was Tuvok's actor and Tim Russ, and it was just it was a brilliant conversation. So I'm not too gutted, because
I've got a lot of time for Tuvok. You know that I love
yes. But Tim Russ was brilliant in all the things that he was in before, and we were trying to decide which characters were Tuvok and which characters were other things. It was good. It's a good conversation, but that's a totally different conversation. But yes. Are we ready to go through my quick and
Oh yeah,
easy
let's give me
history?
a history of a herstory, Dax's herstory.
History, yes. Okay. Got to scroll to it. There we go. Okay. Let's have a look. Come on, scroll down. Okay, so we've got she's born on the Trill homeworld in 2341. She's exceptionally intelligent early on, highly motivated and academy gifted. She excelled in mathematics, exobiology, and astrophysics, and she was initially rejected by the Trill Symphosis Commission. That's a really hard word to say when you've had a mouthful of Baylors. Allegedly, due to lacking the personality to be joined. Later, it was revealed she was rejected to protect Curzon Dax, who had developed romantic feelings for her while she was a candidate, a violation of ethics. She reapplied and was ultimately accepted, becoming the youngest person ever to be joined at the time. Upon joining with the Dax symbiont, she became Jadzia Dax, inheriting centuries of experience and memories from the 7 previous hosts. So, and then I'm going to just jump to her career on Deep Space Nine. She's assigned as Chief Science Officer aboard Deep Space Nine, formerly Terra Nora, under the command of Benjamin Sisko in 2369. Sisko had previously served with Curzon Dax and continued their close relationship with Jadzia, affectionately calling her old man, which I love.
Yeah,
I
me
absolutely love that because it doesn't take anything away from the character. But it's just a reflection that reminds us that she is not quite what she seems. She's not just this beautiful character. She is something a little bit more deeper. And hello, Paul.
Hiya, Paul. It's good to see you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for coming along. Um, and then what I like about Jadzia in her history is she quickly proves herself. She's indispensable during early challenges on the station, including encounters with the Bajoran wormhole and the Prophets, Cardassian tensions, and Gamma Quadrant exploration. And then I've kind of got something about her best episodes, but I think I'm gonna say those for later on.
Yeah.
And then obviously, I don't think we can ignore the fact that she had a bit of a romantic relationship with our dear friend Wolf. Now, can't we?
Which I love.
Yes.
Because I think because she is a force of nature.
She is a force of nature, and she obviously meets a wolf, and he's a force of nature too.
Yeah, for sure. So it kind of works. And I think because there's always that will they won't they with Deanna Troi on Next Generation with Worf. Like obviously it's kind of a bit one-sided as well. And Jadzia Dax couldn't be more different from Deanna Troi in terms of how like she moves through the world. So it's kind of interesting seeing like Worf, like a different side to Worf as well through that relationship. The other thing that I love.
I've got another guest. It's Gol Sophie.
Gol Sophie.
Okay, go back. Go. Thank you.
Time for bed, number one.
Number one, yes, number one to bed.
And
this is very much live, Paul, as you can tell
so
by my number one's appearance.
Yeah. And actually, another episode that we didn't touch on, but that I love, is the episode where the symbiote is stolen. Because really, like, Jadzia is number 8 in the Dax, but there are 9. Before Jadzia dies, there are actually 9 hosts because the symbiote is temporarily stolen, and in that you see some of her just as herself.
Yeah.
And it's interesting when you say how much of it is her character.
Yeah.
And how much of it is her symbiote, and I think it's you're never quite sure, but they blend together, and you do see this kind of the version of her without the symbiote as well.
Yeah, it's
really fascinating.
It really is. But shall we go through quickly her hosts before we start?
Yeah, let's
marking her. So we've got the first host, Leela Dax. She was a politician and a strong advocate for social reform. And I find that Jadzia often channels her clarity and diplomatic skills from this host. We've then got...
Yeah, there's definitely I can talk to anyone in the room. And also like a kind of strong moral compass as well.
Yes.
Kind of goes with that, yeah.
And then we've got Tolbin Dax, a brilliant mathematician and engineer. He's awkward in social settings, but deeply analytical.
that's interesting. I would never say Jadzia is awkward. Analytical, yes.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
she gets more her complex scientific problem solving skills from him.
Yeah, could be.
And then we've got one of my favorite hosts is Amani Dax. She is the athletic gymnast who met McCoy during his college years.
Okay. Oh, I love that.
And when I was doing this, I was like, okay, so I think this is where Jadzia gets her appreciation for elegance and just being physically proud of herself. You know, the way she moves and stuff, I find it just very, very graceful. Very,
Oh yeah.
she just kind of flows with herself, and I love that.
And I also think there's a lot of the actress in that as well, because Terry, when you watch her in like interviews and stuff, you just think, God, if you were in the room, I think you're probably one of those people who like strikes awe into people's hearts.
Yes, yes.
Like with your so much presence.
Yes. And then we've got Aldred Dax, a warm maternal figure who served as on the Trail Symbiosis Commission. She raised children and held significant leadership roles. I also think Dax displays this when she's very nurturing of people.
Yeah.
And obviously and her diplomatic tact sometimes.
And I think with a bit with her relationship with Cisco, like you see a lot of Curzon in the relationship with Cisco,
Yeah.
but there is a kind of there's like a kind of her being that like maternal or like a kind of like trusted aunt,
Yes.
godmothery kind of figure as well.
Very, very much this.
Yeah.
And then we've got Taurus Dax, a thrill-seeking shuttle pilot and adventurer. He died very, very young. I think he was possibly one of the shortest hosts.
Oh, in terms of like how long they were, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And like thrill seeking, and there's so many examples.
Yeah, I think this is where his nature is basically influenced Jadzia's love for Klingon sports and risky missions, without a doubt. And then we get to Jorah and Dax, which is basically the dark history of the Dax symbiont. A psycho. What am I trying to say? A psychotic musician who became a murderer, and
Ooh.
yes, and obviously he's hidden from the official records by the Trill government. And then obviously when Jadzia discovered his existence, she had to it was traumatic for her. She had to kind of integrate that into what she knew about her home world and about herself because it was hidden.
And also there's a kind of like, how would you like if you imagine that you're like finding out that part of yourself, it's like finding out like an ancestor or something was like a horrible murderer.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
like,
it's
how much of that is in me.
yeah, that's always a bit awkward. That's why,
but even more so because literally part of that person is in you.
Yeah, it's why I don't look into family trees. I don't want to know. I know, but I do know that I've got a relative called George, and he was I don't know why they called him George, but that's his name, and that's the only person I kind of want to know because it's got a cool name.
I kind of love it. Do you know what I think? Whenever I see names like that, it's like when you meet people who are called like Dermot McDermott.
Yep.
I imagine someone sitting there with the form and going, okay, so fill in the name George. Oh no, that was the surname.
And that could have happened.
George.
that could have happened. But yes.
Yeah.
And then we get to the last host that we kind of properly recognise, which is Curzon Dax. He was a diplomat, close friend of Benjamin Sisko, played a major role in shaping the Khitomer Accords with the Klingons, known for his intense emotions, wild side, deep love for Klingon culture. And I think he's the one that gives Jadzia the boisterous love of politics and wine-soaked debates.
Yeah, for sure. And also I think it's the one that she's most close to, but there's also like her having met him and being close to him in life.
Yeah.
I think there's also something about that kind of it's a strange relationship that Jadzia has to Curzon. It's like there's like it's me, but also it's not me, and I have fond memories of him.
Yeah.
In my own right.
It's a bit of a
fascinating mess.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, and you can see that in some of the flashbacks that you get, especially that one when they're both lying on that table, and it's kind of weird because this is the moment that she realizes why Curzon didn't want her originally as his next host, because he was in love with her. And it's a bit creepy as well. I will say this, I'm going to fully own this, I still find it very creepy because he is elderly, like really really elderly, and like obviously he's in love with what, a 22-year-old, because she's not that old.
She's not that old,
Like,
and it's a bit uncomfortable. And there's also for me like a kind of uncomfortable power relationship in that as well, because he's got power over her in that he can decide her future.
yeah,
So there's part of me that appreciates the kind of like ethical dilemma that they do actually play out, and they kind of
and they do, and I do think it's done very very well, because he does reject her because he's like, okay, this is inappropriate.
Yeah.
But then he realizes that actually she's probably the best candidate for the Dax symbiont.
Yeah.
And
Becca, let's be honest, if you were going to pick your next host, wouldn't you want someone gorgeous and that you loved? Like,
yeah,
I would be like, I would see why I couldn't enter a relationship with them.
yeah.
But I'd be like, for sure you can be my next person. Put me inside you, baby. Sorry, inappropriate.
And this is where Phoebe breaks the internet.
Yeah.
And obviously Paul's not here because he's not commented on that.
I know, because that would have definitely got the chat going.
Yeah, that would have definitely got the chat going. But yeah, so I find it's really fascinating that we've obviously got all these different hosts, and it also really disappoints me because when we got to Discovery, I really, really, really wanted to meet the Dax hosts in the future.
Yeah,
I really, really wanted that. I really wanted that.
Really cool.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. What did you think of Ehestri Dax? I wasn't sold, if I'm honest.
I wasn't sold. Yeah, I wasn't sold, and that's not down to the character. That wasn't down to the actress. It was just down to Berman trying to force the character still on us, and yeah.
And like it feels like an abrupt shift, and we know that the reason it kind of fell apart was due to sort of backstage stuff, behind the scenes stuff rather. It's not like theatre, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So the writing, they're kind of like trying to solve a real life problem by like amending the story.
Yeah.
I do think that Ehestri Dax is like just so less commanding, so less confident.
Yeah,
it's like such big shoes to fill.
It is, and that's why I don't hate the character. I'm not sold on it, but I don't hate it. I think the character does better in Star Trek Online and the games because she's amazing.
Agree. And you see like a more fully realized character, I think, as well. Yeah. Because that's the other thing is like entering the story at that point.
She was only there for what? 2 seasons?
Yeah.
1?
I think it happens in like one season maybe.
So yeah, there's a lot crammed into that one season. Instead of them just being like, okay, we're just gonna have no one in charge of science.
Yeah.
But then they didn't even bring her back as a scientist. She was brought back as a counselor, and then it was just confusing.
It felt confused. It felt like the character wasn't fully realised. The whole weird sudden relationship with Bashir, I was like really not for either. That felt uncomfortable.
I'm so glad that in one of the books they kind of blitzed that and they realised that it was just trauma bonding.
Yeah, and I think it feels very like, oh, not sure.
Yeah.
Plus, also, I always thought Bashir and Garrick were like.
Oh, I refuse to believe like that's headcanon. Headcanon.
Fully, and that is something that like the actor who plays Garrick has said that he was playing the character as like a queer character for most of it, and then suddenly the writers land him with like this young love interest, and he was like, no, don't want.
No, that's not how it works.
But have you seen a bit like that's what happens with Ezri as well? Like the writers just land it to try and like make the characters more lovable or something, and it just actually backfires.
It just doesn't work. But shall we get into our first category?
Yeah.
So I think how we do this is how we do the scores when we do reviews is we mark them out of. We each get a mark out of 5, and then we add it up, and that's the score. But what I want to kind of do is I kind of want to do it in years. Not years. I'm not explaining it properly. So we do all the episodes this year, and then at the end of this year we pick a winner, and we call this season 1.
Oh, I love this. So this is
Yeah?
like we're like yeah.
Yeah? Okay,
Yeah.
let's do this. So,
Yeah.
first category is leadership and command ability. How well does this character lead, inspire, and make tough decisions?
So this might be controversial. I've said I will score her highly on everything, except actually I'm gonna score her like a 3 on this.
Okay.
And here's my reason why: is that Jadzia, the thrill-seeking part of Jadzia makes her sometimes unpredictable.
Yes.
And actually that might not, so like I think the things that make her a good leader are she can talk to anyone. She is like not afraid to make tough decisions, and she's not afraid to step up in a crisis.
Yeah.
She leads by example. Sometimes she rushes into the problem, I think.
Yes.
And I think especially with the Klingon episodes, and part of that is her like responding to the Klingon energy, but she's very quick to be swept up into into the whole like reclaiming our honor vibe.
Yeah.
And I think there's and that for me demonstrates that actually maybe Jadzia, like if something really interesting came along that caught her eye, I wonder if she would just be like, okay, see you later.
Yeah. To be fair, I've not marked her a 5. I've given her a 4. And that's because I find that Jadzia doesn't hold command as often as Kira as Cisco. But I do actually find her that she's very cool under pressure. She's trusted by the crew and she's respected by Klingons. Even when she does sort of step up, like during operations and missions with Worf, she shows sharp judgment. And I find it's very natural authority, but I did mark her down for the hint of mischief that keeps her approachable. So
yeah. I think she's too interesting to be a really good leader.
yeah, and that's not a bad thing. That's
it's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
That's good. It makes her.
So that's 4 plus 3, so that is 7. Yes, so that's 7. Okay. I'm gonna have to keep track of these, so let me just type that on my screen. Okay, so this one, I think we both know what we're going to do for this one. Science and technical prowess. Who has the best? Does she have the best problem-solving skills in science, engineering, or medicine?
I mean, I would give her a 5 on this, right?
Yeah.
Because, and she's carrying some like genetic memory through her symbiote. So already, and like of the previous hosts, she's had mathematicians and scientists.
Yeah, she's fully loaded on.
She's fully loaded, and before she even became joined, she was already very accomplished and intelligent. So 100%, she's head of the science department for a very good reason.
Yeah.
No one's questioning her. Like, I don't think anyone should be questioning her science credentials.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's a 5. It's a 5 from me. She's top tier. Jadzia is a science officer with multiple lifetimes of knowledge, and she actually uses it, whether it's problem solving temporal anomalies or understanding alien tech. What I like, she balances deep theory with practical know-how, and she does it with grace and makes it look absolutely effortless.
I also think as a character, like I think the ability to explain a complex problem in a way to the non-scientists in the room demonstrates like a level of high competence, because it's not just about understanding it yourself.
Yeah,
it's also about like helping other people to understand it.
100%.
And I think that definitely bumps her score up as well.
Yeah, very, very, very much. Okay, the next one is combat skills and tactical brilliance.
I mean, she takes on the Klingons.
Yeah.
Like, is it bad to give her 2 5s? I don't think so.
No, because those are our scores,
Yeah. She's a 5.
She's a 5. Okay. I'm going to actually give the same. To be fair,
Yeah, yeah.
You don't get to be an honorary Klingon without throwing down. You know, she's an expert with a bat'leth. You
Yeah.
know, she's very confident in a fight, and she absolutely thrives in dangerous missions. She's also tactically savvy. She's more likely to fight beside you than from a command chair, which I kind of really appreciate as that type of character.
Yeah, for sure. And there's also something about, so like the whole romantic relationship with Worf, like the fighting is the flirting. So
Mm-hmm.
to be able to fight, but with an alter like it's, you know, it's fighting as an art form, isn't it? It's not
Yeah,
just fighting for survival. There's
yeah,
fighting because she enjoys it as well, and I think that, yeah,
very much.
big
So
part.
that's another 10. That's another 10.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So we've got character growth and arc. Does she have a compelling personal journey or development over time?
So I might score her down for how she ends. I feel like her arc's cut short. She has
Yeah,
a great arc.
yeah,
I think, like, hands down, until she suddenly is nerfed from the writing,
yeah,
my favourite character by
yeah.
far. And even more so knowing that the actress was struggling with behind the scene dynamics. You never see that in her
No,
performance. It's an
it's good.
extraordinary character portrayal.
Yeah.
So I would give her a 4. Mine, it would be a 5 if it wasn't for how it ended.
To be fair, I'm gonna say a 4 myself. I find her arc is subtle, but it's
Yeah,
quite rich. You know, we kind of see her grow from a composed, almost, I want to say, serene presence into someone a lot more expressive, passionate, and confident about her identity. And we
yeah,
don't kind of see that until after she goes through the struggle with finding out about the host that was a murderer, basically.
yeah,
And I find that once we kind of get past those couple of episodes, I think was what season 2, she kind of balances the weight of the symbiont's past life with her own wants and needs,
yeah,
especially because of her romance with Wolf. And yeah, I find it really fascinating when we kind of get to those storylines.
yeah. And actually, you make a really good point, because I think she comes in as this kind of serene. She comes in, and her main relationship on the space station is with Cisco,
Yeah,
and him seeing her as a kind of mentor figure. So she carries the shadow of Curzon
yeah,
with her, and it isn't until you start to see her like grapple and integrate those past lives into her own experience that she's able to like step out of the shadow and be
yeah,
Jadzia rather
yeah,
than Curzon.
yeah,
And you even see that in the shift between her relationship with Cisco. It is really subtle, but the way they play off each other shifts
yeah.
as she kind of like takes it more on. It's
Yeah, he calls her less old man, and
yeah,
it's more Jadzia or Dax, and I kind of like that. So yeah, so that's an 8. That's an
mm,
8. Okay,
that feels good. That feels
yeah,
right.
this is a good one because I think it's definitely a good character to start with.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
and we've got
It's nice to be able to have like positive feelings.
yeah.
I'm sure there will be challenges and disagreements later.
Oh
Not for
yes,
Jadzia.
yes. And I would love to see what everyone else's scores are in the comments because I think
Yeah,
we'd like to. This isn't just us. Yes, we are the women of Trek, and we are the ones scoring it, and you know we're making the table of women and deciding who is a winner for season 1. But we would
yeah,
love to see, and we want to be able to feature what your views are on these episodes. So it's not just about us.
yeah. For sure, get in the comments and come talk to us on the Obsidian Fleet Discord as well if you would rather do it that way. Just come
Yes,
join up and nudge us. We're very
yes,
friendly and lovely.
definitely. So the next one is iconic quotability and charisma. Does she have memorable lines, presence, and sheer entertainment value?
I would say she is very memorable. She has memorable scenes. I would say someone like Quark is much more quotable.
Yeah, yeah,
So again, I would probably give her for this. Oh, I would. Yeah, she does light up the screen though every time she's on it.
yeah,
I'd give her a 4. Like I'm torn between a 3 and a 4 because
yeah. No,
like
I,
when
I've,
I think of like famous quotes, I can't think of like any immediately. Like there are no Jadzias in my Rolodex.
oh, see, I'm going for a 3, but I do have the quote when she's with the Klingons. That is so quotable. You know, she
Yeah,
says,
that's
"Well,
true.
actually, it's Curzon. It's Jadzia now," and anyone who thinks of that line, it's they think of that character, and that whole scene is like a meme that goes around all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
I've kind of wrote a little bit of passage that says, you know, Jadzia's wit is razor sharp, her charisma is effortless, she can hold her own in a room full of Klingons and Varangi. But I've put she doesn't need catphrase. Her whole vibe's iconic.
Yeah, that's the thing. She's got an iconic vibe rather than
Yeah.
like there's no like kind of like I need a phrase here to
Yeah. She doesn't need a
underscore it.
phrase, but I that's why I kind of had to go mid ground
Yeah,
because
yeah. I would
she
agree with that. I'd say 3. I think I was scared to say 3, but let's go with 3.
you don't need to be scared as me.
I
So that's a
know.
6. Right. Now we're getting into the ones that are slightly more funny, a little bit more entertaining.
Ooh.
Uh, is she likely to start a bar fight?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
5.
Yes, she is most likely to start a bar fight. Is there a reason why?
Because and I think it's that unpredictable, mischievous streak, and also because she's a diplomat. I think if she was talking to Klingons and a bar fight was needed in order for her to be respected, she'd do the bar fight.
Yeah.
I don't see her starting a bar fight because she's drunk and out of control.
Yeah.
I see her starting a bar fight for a purpose.
Yeah, no, I've 100% got the same. So I've got 100%, especially if it's a Klingon bar and someone's questions her honour. She wouldn't mean to start a bar fight, but the moment someone throws shade, she's already reaching for her back left or daring Wolf to do so.
Yeah. And that's a good point because I think sometimes she'll be the one throwing the first punch. Sometimes I think she could do the. Did you hear what they just said about
Yeah.
you, mate? Like to the next table over.
Yeah,
like I can see that
100%.
mischievous.
Yeah.
There's like a Loki quality to her sometimes.
There is. I do sometimes see her as Loki's form in that
Yeah,
universe because sometimes she's very mischievous.
she is, and she's the trickster. She's a little bit the trickster god.
Yeah, 100%. And then we've got the last category. Would she cause an accident? Would she accidentally cause a temporal paradox?
Okay, so here's my thing. I don't
Okay.
think she'd do it by accident. I think she might do it on purpose. Kind of like the bar fight. So
Yes.
So would it be accidental? No, I'd say that's a 1. Would she do it because she wanted to do it?
Yes.
That would be a 5.
Yes. So are we going? Are you going for a 5?
I think I'll go for 5. It feels
Okay,
like the
so
spirit of the question is, would she do it? The answer
Yeah.
is
So
yes.
I've kind of gone for the same vibe. I've gone for a 5, and I've wrote. Let's be honest, Jadzia would understand the temporal mechanics perfectly, and she'd also say, well, technically we can do it if it's just to recalibrate the phase variance. And the next thing you know, Benjamin is yelling across the time, and Wolf is stuck in the 21st century.
100% that feels like a
Yeah.
missed opportunity of an episode.
Yes. So
That's how we rewrite her death. If Paul ever offers up the Jadzia death episode as a rewrite.
Paul, can we do that episode, please?
We do it as a temp. It splits and you have an alternate universe.
Yeah,
where
this is.
Jadzia doesn't die.
Yeah. I think this demands a rewrite. I demand a rewrite, Paul. So yes, so that's a 10. Oh, now I've got to do maths. Okay. 10, 20, 30, 40, 46. 58, 59.
I'm scared to talk in case I throw off your counting.
I think I've got 67, but I will properly count it after this and do a post or an announcement and properly put it all together.
This is her score.
Yes, because
Yeah.
I can't be trusted with maths and I need someone else to do the maths. I'm gonna get a document set up so I can do it as we're going.
That sounds good. I could do a little spreadsheet that'll add it up for us automatically.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's what I do with the stats for the games. I make it all do it. I ain't got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I ain't got time for that. So, is there anything else that we want to talk about Dax.
Well, so we've briefly touched on Berman,
Yes.
and I feel like, I don't know, it's not like a pressure because it's the Women of Trek podcast, but I do feel like it's an important part of the story because it changes her canon, what happens behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And it's worth acknowledging. I mean, I think we can say that Berman is a hugely controversial figure in the Star Trek community. I think we can safely say that.
This is a safe space. We can say a lot of things about him.
We can say a lot of things about him. We only have so much time.
Yes.
And breath and patience.
Yes.
For Berman. But I think so that, like, in terms of his approach to how he worked with female colleagues, it truly is like it makes me grateful for the people that I work with on a day-to-day basis, because I've
Without a doubt
experienced even a fraction of the kind of bullshit that Terry has and other cast members had to put up with. And there is something about, so I think it's worth mentioning. So we know that Terry didn't want to leave the show. She wanted to reduce her hours so she could work on other things. And Berman was a kind of like, you're in or you're out. It's all or nothing. Either I own your soul or go fuck yourself. Because he was taking like a hardline negotiation, thinking she would cave.
Yeah, 100%.
And what I think is worth mentioning is that not only is she badass as a character, she's badass in real life because she didn't let him bully her.
No, not at all.
She kind of called his bluff. And sadly, as a result, the character was written out. But I think it's worth acknowledging that Terry was like someone who was very strong and did cave and was put under like what feels like a deeply wrong level of basically harassment.
Yeah, and you know, I find that this is very, very familiar story from the 90s, because it didn't just happen in Star Trek, it happened in Power Rangers. You know, there are stories of David Yoss. You know, he was basically hounded out and harassed out of Power Rangers for being gay. You know, and there are so many stories. You know, is it Drew Barrymore?
Yeah.
Like, she was hounded out and she's come back. No, it can't be Drew Barrymore. It's not Drew Barrymore. I'm thinking it's the who else starred in Charlie's Angels with her?
Lucy Liu?
No, the other one.
Cameron Diaz.
Cameron Diaz came back to the industry in the last year or so, and I've literally just seen an article in the last 2 or 3 days where she was saying that she was amazed by how different the industry was, because she was literally handed on, like, one of her first days, she was handed like a Netflix whistleblowing number to ring if there was any type of dodgy business in that, and she was amazed that that was a thing.
Yeah. And I think it's important to acknowledge, people like Terry, for not only for taking a stand when they were experiencing enormous pressure to just cave and kind of shut up and do as they were told, but also to be vocal about it, because she never held back in her public criticism, and I think it probably did harm possible opportunities for her,
without a doubt.
Because for someone of her level of skill and popularity, she doesn't have you don't see her kind of achieve like a huge level of success afterwards. And I think the fact that she was so open about the harassment she experienced probably did affect her ability to earn more money. But because she did that, the industry has changed, and also now you have things like intimacy coaches and stuff, and that protect everyone on set.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Not just the women. It's there's been a fundamental shift in how we approach the power dynamics.
So I'm having a quick look at her roles after Deep Space Nine. She was in Becker. Yeah. That's kind of really her biggest role. She was in it for 94 episodes.
Yeah.
And then
which is a good run.
Yeah.
But
there's nothing that's huge.
Yeah.
She's not, like you said, for her standards, there's not as many things as I would have said that she should have been in, which is sad, really, because she is a phenomenal actress and she's
Yeah,
played an amazing role.
and I was kind of surprised that she didn't come back to Picard as well, because I was secretly hoping that we'd get a flash of, but obviously she's like dead in DS at the end of DS9, so
Yeah.
she can't. But she would have been a good person to find, like a, particularly in the mirror universe, having like a mirror Jadzia Dax would have been like really
Yes.
fun.
I love the mirror Jadzia Dax. I love that character and the fact that we get her. She's such a strong character even in that universe. For anyone who knows, I love the mirror universe. I love it as a concept. I love writing in it. I love it, and I'm 100% believing we're living in the mirror universe at the moment.
Yeah, we want to think that we're not. We're living in the prime, but we're
but
not.
we're
in
not.
The mirror.
We're not. We're not. We're totally in the mirror.
We're battling towards an Imperium.
Yeah. Sad times.
Sad times.
But yeah, I think Jadzia Dax as a character is one of the best ones that we've got. But it does bring up the conversation of what we're going to do next time. What character are we going to do next time? You get a pick.
We haven't even talked.
We haven't.
On camera about this.
We haven't. But what I think is, you give a pick, I give a pick, and we put it to people to vote.
Oh, I love that idea.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I'm into that. Okay, and we can pick anyone, right?
Yeah, we could pick anyone. It could be a main character. It could be an NPC. It can be, yeah.
Do you know who I'd like to do? Burnham. Michael Burnham.
That's a good one. I'm going to pick Mariner.
Great.
Lower decks. Lower decks. Lower decks.
And you know what? I'm secretly hoping that Lower wins. Because I love Lower Decks.
Okay, so people in the comments, you have a decision to make on who we pick for next time, Burnham or Mariner. And we're both excited to do both. So eventually we are going to do one. It's just dependent on who we do now.
It's just, it's who we're going to do next rather than who we're going to do ever.
Yes. So, so I'm excited because we've got 11 episodes left of this season. So this is going to be season 1, and then we are going to decide who's the winner. Who's the winner of this season?
Season 1.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah.
But is there anything that you want to announce that you have got going on this week? Because I know you've got Anime Club and things like that.
Oh yeah, come have a look at Anime Club. So me and our mutual friend Chris, who you will see if you're part of the Obsidian Fleet community, you will know him as the Scourge of Facebook.
Yes.
Who kicks about and helps do other fleet casts.
He is the biggest cheerleader. He's the big old cheerleader.
He just loves talking to people about things that they're passionate about, and he has a lovely series called Spotlight, so I can check that out. But we do Anime Club, where we watch 3 episodes of an anime and then talk about would we continue to invest our emotional time and hearts in watching the whole series. So come along, that's fun. We've just done Free Rin, Beyond Journey's End, and I think next week is Dora Hedero. And then also come and check me out on Twitch. I'm Phoebo on Twitch, and we do cozy bird watching streams and gaming and lo-fi beats. It's very it's the kind of thing you can either be really into the chat and have a lot of chat time, or you can just put it on in the background while you're pottering around. I like doing that.
I joined this morning, and my little one was watching it on the screen, and I was doing lunch. It was a cozy little session. I had a lovely little morning. What have I got going on? I don't actually have anything going on this week.
Ooh.
I will have a new episode of Women of Nerd Culture, but we had an amazing March where we did so many videos. I am a little bit burnt because we did a lot.
You did multiple.
We did a lot.
Multiple posts a day. Go check out the Women of Nerd Culture Instagram.
Yes, it's below. You will find everything that we've mentioned. It is below. Go check out Nerdy Up North.
Yeah.
We both were on the Star Wars episode that they did just last week.
Was fun.
I am still emotionally damaged from the fact that I was given the reins with Sammy.
You were very graceful. I'm still chuckling over the idea of Kylo Ren being cosplaying as his granddad.
yes. So go check that out. Go give that some love. Do I have anything else? Oh, happy First Contact Day.
Happy First Contact
But
Day.
it's Elso. Do you know what Elso it is today? It's 50 years since the first episode of Sentai.
Oh,
50 years. So
50 years.
50 years. So the first episode of Japanese Power Rangers, which is Sentai, aired.
The original.
Yes. So I think that's
Oh,
amazing. That's like my
that
two
feels
loves.
auspicious. It feels auspicious to have those two loves happening on
I
one
know
show.
it's amazing.
I
But
love
50
that.
years,
Oh, should we also say, come and if you're a writer, if you're out there and you're a writer and you like writing with other people, come and
yes,
join the Obsidian Fleet community. We've got some lovely writers and some really fun games. Talking of Power Rangers, Becca's got Power Ranger games. We've got you've got your zombie post-apocalypse.
that's not technically part of the fleet, but
That's
yeah,
not
you can.
technically part of the fleet, but
But
go and
it's
check
where
it out.
yeah, it's where I write. We've got Star Trek games. We've got Star Trek Lost in Space. We've got Star Trek Base. We've got Colonies. We've got
old civilian ships. We've got
also
high-tech,
old civilian ships.
high-tech diplomatic missions.
We've got a cadet ship. We've got ships set in other universes. We've got To Boldly Roll, which is a Stargate game, which is like a tabletop game. We've got Star Wars, which is run by the lovely Phoebe. We've got
on Hoth.
yes, a Hoth. We've also got an X-Men game, which is in the Highlands of Scotland. So yeah, we've got something for everyone, and if that's not for you, just come and join us and we will see what we can find. I'm sure that we can find something for you.
Yes.
Or you can make your own. That is an option.
Always up for that.
But I think for now, that is the end of Women of Trek for this month.
Yeah. Thanks very much for having me, Becca.
You're welcome. So I will see you next time. Stay lovely, stay logical, and catch you on the